In this podcast episode, financial expert Morgan Housel shares transformative lessons on money, saving, investing, and financial independence. Housel, the best-selling author of The Psychology of Money and the Art of Spending Money, delves into the true psychology behind our financial behaviors and explains how mindset, expectations, and habits matter far more than income or educational background. The dialogue unpacks practical advice and profound wisdom on why most people struggle financially and how anyone can change that by mastering behaviors and shifting perspectives. Housel begins by emphasizing a fundamental truth. The biggest barrier to financial success isn't intelligence or access, but ignorance, specifically ignorance about one's own money habits and mindset. In a world geared to encourage spending and easy credit, falling into debt and bad habits happens naturally unless one cultivates awareness and discipline. More importantly, he highlights how the relentless urge to keep up with others is the primary cause of financial struggle. The treadmill of trying to match the lifestyles of neighbors, colleagues, or social media influencers is endless and inevitably leads to dissatisfaction and overspending. This craving to impress others, particularly strangers, underpins much of unhealthy financial behavior. Housel points out that most purchases fall into two categories: spending to improve one's own happiness and spending to impress others. Recognizing this simple dichotomy helps one gain clarity on why certain purchases feel necessary and why many lead to regret. The realization that people pay more attention to themselves than to us dissolves much of the pressure to spend for external validation and is a powerful gateway toward contentment. Contrary to common belief, financial success is less about where you studied or how much you earn and more about behavior. Housel stresses that anyone, regardless of background or current financial situation, can learn to get good with money. He distinguishes financial success as a matter of patience, long-term thinking, and managing expectations. For instance, people often believe there is some secret club or formula for becoming wealthy, but the reality is simpler and more accessible. Focus inward, live below your means, save regularly, avoid jealousy, and invest with patience. This internal focus also means buying less into the societal games of status and comparison. He warns how the explosion of social media allows our comparison set to balloon from neighbors to celebrities and influencers worldwide, driving unrealistic expectations that fuel spending and discontent. Housel reframes saving not as a sacrifice, but as a key expense, just like rent or groceries, that buys independence and peace of mind. Using saving as a tool for autonomy signals a mindset shift. Each dollar saved represents a bit of the future you reclaim from uncertainty, job loss, illness, or other inevitable life challenges. Automating savings, even in small amounts, helps bypass emotional and social pressures, turning saving into a default behavior. He makes a poignant point that the majority of Americans will face some form of setback, like job loss or medical emergency, making the cushion savings provides invaluable. The mental relief and freedom from anxiety that come with savings often outweigh the short-term thrill of consumption. Housel recounts inspiring examples, such as a janitor who amassed millions by consistently saving and investing small sums over decades. A recurrent theme Housel returns to is the dangerous dynamic of escalating expectations. The goalpost for what feels like enough money keeps moving forward as we achieve more, leading to a cycle of perpetual dissatisfaction and risky financial decisions. Managing and moderating expectations is critical to achieving what he terms contentment, which he describes as the genuine happiness found in being satisfied with what you have, rather than constantly craving more. This realization aligns with the lives of many happy, modest individuals who, despite lacking extravagant wealth, live fulfilling lives by appreciating what they have. He gives the example of physicist Stephen Hawking, who attributed much of his happiness to his expectations being reduced to zero due to his debilitating illness. The lesson is clear. Contentment grows as the gap between reality and expectations narrows. Housel breaks down investing to its simplest core, compound interest, and makes it accessible to people without any financial background. He explains how consistent, long-term investing, even at average returns, vastly outperforms attempts at winning by chasing trends or timing the market. He points to Warren Buffett as an exemplar whose greatest accumulation of wealth came after age 60, demonstrating the power of time and patience rather than short-term brilliance. Investing emotionally can be challenging due to market volatility, but Housel advocates tailoring investment strategies to individual personality and risk tolerance, prioritizing peace of mind over maximizing returns. The key is to stay invested in simple, low-cost index funds, automate contributions, and avoid the paralysis induced by fear or impatience. Housel draws a vital distinction between being rich and being wealthy. Being rich means having enough money to pay for the things you want, your mortgage, car, dinners out, etc. Wealth means having savings and investments that grant you independence, meaning you are not dependent on anyone else's opinions or forces, a state of psychological and financial freedom. He contrasts historical examples of extremely rich families, such as the Vanderbilts, who inherited large fortunes but were often miserable and psychologically trapped, with people of modest means who relish autonomy and self-determination. Housel stresses that independence, not status symbols or income, is the noblest and most satisfying financial goal one can pursue. For those feeling overwhelmed or left behind financially, Housel imparts a message of empathy and empowerment. Financial well-being is within reach through simple behaviors that anyone can adopt. The first step is to build awareness. Know exactly how much money you make and spend by checking your account daily. From there, save even a small portion regularly, automate what you can, and adjust your expectations. He encourages people to reflect honestly on why they spend, what emotions or desires they are trying to satisfy, and whether spending is truly increasing happiness or just masking deeper feelings. Shifting the internal narrative from comparing to others and chasing more to appreciating what is and striving for independence sets the foundation for financial peace. Housel's final advice emphasizes self-compassion, patience, and a mindful approach to money. He reminds listeners that everyone makes mistakes on this journey, but changing financial habits is always possible, and the rewards go beyond dollars. They change your freedom, happiness, and how you live your life.